it's Debra Danielson. Welcome to my Spotify podcast on Anchor, and also welcome to my YouTube followers and subscribers. Thank you all for watching, and today we have an exciting episode about gold leafing woodwork. Architectural features in a home can really define your personal style. So today I wanted to take a closer look at how to do metal leafing on woodwork to make different aspects of your house stand out. Now, if you live in a house, even with very plain woodwork, there's always something that you could put a little bit of hint of decor to. So stay tuned and let's get going. One of my favorite things to do in crafting is metal leafing. So I have these laid out in sequence. The very first thing you're going to do is put on your red base coat. That goes underneath everything because no metal leaf goes on perfectly. So to give it a sense of antiquity, of age, of have been there for a long time, that is the purpose of putting down a foundation. Once that dries, which can range anywhere from 10 minutes to 30 minutes, once it's thoroughly dry, we come on with this metal leaf adhesive. All of these products are available on Amazon.com. You can order them and have them shipped directly to your house, or if you have a local hobby store, you can go there too. If it's anything like my hobby stores, they've quit carrying a lot of these things, and we're used to be able to go in and buy the entire kit. Now you can't do it. So this is why I'm showing you that you can go on Amazon and you can get these items. Then the next thing is antiquing glaze. This will come after the adhesive. So once the adhesive is clear, when it goes on, it's kind of a milky color. Once it gets clear, which usually at my house, because they only have 15% humidity, usually takes maybe 10 to 15 minutes at most, then you can pick your metal leaf. Now, there are usually 3 choices, and these are real sheets of metal. You can see they're extremely thin. My favorite for woodworking is gold. You can also select from copper, which is a more warm color, and you can also select from silver, which is a more cool color. And that could be very nice with some shades of blues or greens or whatever your motif is that you're going for. Once you get this on, you're going to need a set of brushes to put all of this on with. I just use this typical value brush set, $5.99 at my local store. And most everything here that I'm working with is all water soluble, so it's cleaned up with a very nice dish soap, dish detergent, and water. I also have this with me just in case I accidentally get something spilled or something, I have a damp cloth. Then once all of this is on, in place, you do your antiquing. So you shake it up well. This is the brand, again, available on Amazon.com. And then you take a brush and you apply it to your metal leaf area. You wipe off what you don't want, but you'll notice as you put this on this metal leaf, the gold gets deeper, richer, almost more elegant, and that'll happen with all of these. Final step is this polyacrylic. So this is kind of my favorite brand. I used to get the brand that comes with the set, but I find that this is a little bit more durable. Definitely cheaper to buy it this way at the local Menards, Lowe's, Home Depot. But this is a clear top coat that goes over your gold leaf once you're done. You just put it on with a simple brush, and it's soap and water cleanup. So now I'm going to step through how we do a metal leaf project. Well, I decided to get some architectural woodwork, salvaged woodwork, to put into my first level of my house. I call it a first level and not a basement because when my house was built in 1878, the first floor of this house was not underground. And now, as it sits, it would be classified as a walkout basement. So you will see that the ceiling height in my basement is roughly 9 foot. And the woodwork behind me is the architectural salvage that I saved from going in a pile of debris. So what I wanted to show you is, this is quarter sawn white oak. So it's a premium wood. It came out of the first territorial governor's mansion here in Nebraska. It's somewhere around the 1845 to 1855 range. And it is all hand carved, hand chiseled, and extremely hard wood. It's beautiful. So I was lucky enough to get the last few pieces in existence, and I immediately brought them down to my basement because it ties in with the west entry of my house. So I'm going to show you how gold leafing can really change your world. Now you notice I've gold leafed very key elements of the woodwork. But what I haven't gold leafed, and what you can't see, is there is a reveal here. A reveal is a technical term in woodworking where it's like a step back. It's like a little opportunity to accent. And you'll notice I have accented these dowel rods that I put in on either side. I have a real balance. You'll notice up above I've accented the arrow, and I've accented very much an arrow that looks like, to me it looks like a combination of a fleur-de-lis and representing some of the American Indians with some Greek key design. So there's some real thought that went behind what they did in this territorial governor's mansion, but hey, I don't know what it is. Believe it or not, I'm too young to know. So today what we're going to do is I have painted this a very nice dark midnight blue with some of the Magnolia paint collection, which I'm crazy about. It's the same color that I put on a previous episode on a pillar cap. But I have 3 coats of that on here, and it's a beautiful, sedate, very hug, close, secure feeling. And it's really good because this is right off of our library down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to gold leaf on either side, and it's like a corner, so it's like a 45-degree angle there. I'm going to gold leaf both of these on each side, and because it's impossible to get to all of it before it dries, I'm going to do the red base coat for both sides, and then I'm going to do one side with the adhesive, and then I'm going to apply the gold leafing. Then I'm going to do the other side with the adhesive, and then I'm going to apply the gold leafing. And I'll show you step by step how that goes. The very first step we're going to take here is use this Old World Art Gold Leaf Red Base Coat number 801. And what we're going to do is we're going to apply that. I'm trying to get it so it'll focus, but who knows. Anyway, this is available on Amazon.com. And I would also advise you that you might want to get a couple of jars if you've got a bigger project like this one, because it really doesn't really go that far, you know. It's pretty thin, but I like to take sort of an appropriate brush size. And then I just start very carefully putting the red on. And so if you're really, really steady with your hand, I would say it's okay to do it free-handed. Now, if you have any kind of trouble getting things to go on smoothly and making a straight line, I definitely recommend a little bit of, I think it's called gator tape. or some kind of painting tape, just standard painting tape. And the other thing that's important to note is before you gold leaf, get every other part of your project done. You can see here the little bit of the blue because I free-handed everything. You can see there's blue under here a little bit. So that doesn't matter when you gold leaf. What matters is, you can see that I'm making some progress here. What matters is that you put your gold leaf on very last because you want nothing else to interfere with your gold leaf. Gold leaf, the real gold, real silver, copper, you know, it's going to be square inch for square inch more expensive than a can of paint. And you don't want to spend all this time and effort going through this and not have, or have, you know, marks on your gold leaf. You want it to look perfect. So I'm going to continue doing this all. As you can see on either side of me here, I have taken this little 45-degree corner on each side, and I've used the red base coat and my little brush, and I went ahead and put down the base coat. The base coat's dry, and we're now ready for step 2. Okay, so this is the adhesive. This is called Metal Leaf Adhesive Size. So you want to shake this, make sure that it's well shook, everything's good. And then you're going to put this on just like you put on the red base coat. And when you look at it, you can see it's very milky. It's very thin, so it doesn't take a whole lot of this. And you got to be careful not to put it on too thick. So what you're going to do is you're just going to go over where you have your red paint, any place you want gold leaf to stick, and you're going to put this on. And you want to make sure you only put it on a surface that you're going to be able to treat probably within 10 to 15 minutes, because if it sits any longer than that and it's dry where you are, like it is here, it's very, very dry, we haven't had any rain, then what's going to happen is your adhesive's going to get too dry, it'll dry up, and then your metal leaf won't stick. So you'll have to go back in and you'll have to do it over again. So I'm just going to do one side, put the gold leaf on, then I'm going to do the other side. Now we're into step 3. As you can see, I've already started doing some of the gold leafing, and this part of the project is very important. Timing is everything because we're working with some adhesive. So I have a little ladder here to help me keep things close at hand, and I have my brush. And it's now time to start applying the gold leaf. So I like to take and put the sheet up, and then I like to press it down with my brush. My brush doesn't get stuck to it like my fingers do, and it just goes on a little easier in a cramped, very cramped little space here. So the main thing you want to do is make sure you have foil, the gold leaf foil, or whatever metal leaf, that the metal leaf is covering all of the red. It's another thing I like about the red base coat. You can really make sure that you're covering everything because you can see the color, and then you know that you don't have any voids. What you're going to do is just put your gold leaf on. And it's okay if it looks a little messy. You make it as smooth as possible. Where there are voids, where you do see the red, you just go over it again and make sure it sticks. If it gets too dry before you finish, no problem. All you have to do is very carefully just make sure, get a little bit better closer view here. Just make sure that you put a nice light layer on there and then go over it again. So this is how you take off the excess. And just continue working till everything is filled. Well, as you can see, the gold leaf is up. It's looking beautiful, nice and shiny. But our other gold leaf has been antiqued. So the antiquing glaze is our third step. Again, Amazon.com. And the only step we have after this, once we put the antiquing glaze on, which I'm going to show you how to do, is then you're just going to put the polyacrylic on, and that takes 2 coats. So the antiquing glaze is kind of thick. I'm going to put it on. I do a small area at a time because I want to be able to get some of this wiped off before it gets dry. But you just go over it like this. It's nothing difficult, nothing taxing about it. I always try to go in the direction of the foil, the metal leafing, because I don't want to pull it off. It's still kind of susceptible at this point because we haven't got the polycryptic on, or the polyacrylic, sorry. I don't know why I'm thinking of horror movies, I guess. Anyway, so we got a coat on there. Now what you do is you take a soft rag. This is really a rag. And you just go over and you wipe off what you want. You can see I'm taking off quite a bit. But what it does is it gives you a nice, deep, beautiful gold color. So you can see this side is really shiny, this side isn't, but it gets deeper and richer in color. So that's what you want. You don't want to look too shiny, because if you look too shiny, then it could also look a little bit cheap maybe, or maybe not real. Being too gold might look too, not real, might look fake. And you don't want to look fake, you want to look elegant. So just do that, and then we're ready for the fourth and final step here, our poly. I have it at the shade that I want, and I've got my final step here. So we're just going to do 2 coats. 2 coats will be very sufficient. So this is polyacrylic, and they call it polyacrylic. And so you want to stir it really well. You can see it's got the consistency again of a milk-like substance. It's kind of thin. So you want to be careful not to let it run. That's the worst thing you can do if you're staining or varnishing anything, is to put it on too thick and then it runs. Get a brush where you can control where it's going, and then just very nicely put on a good thin coat to cover it. And you'll notice as you do this that the gold leaf will lay very flat, very nice, and look very crisp. More to come. Here's a beautiful example of how you can gold leaf your front doors. Accent the beautiful parts of the architecture for emphasis. And here is another piece I salvaged from demolition. This is before the gold leafing. Is what can be possible if you want to gold leaf some of the beautiful details on a piece of salvaged woodwork that you find maybe at an antique store or at a salvage yard, or if you drive by and see demolition going on, oftentimes you can pick up pieces like these. They may need a little bit of sanding. As you can tell, this has been refinished. So I sanded it off with some very good sandpaper. So I started out with 220 grit, got a lot of rough stuff off. Then I went to 320, and then I went to a 420. So it feels like a fine piece of furniture right now. Then I chose which features I wanted to gold leaf to bring them out and make it really pretty for an overmantel. So there's a antique fireplace that's going to go right there, and it's sitting here. It's very unusual. It's from Europe, and it's actually made out of a metal, like a pot metal. And then I'm going to put a nice little electric or gas heater in there. So it's a coal fireplace, just like the rest of the fireplaces in the house. And what I've done to the brick wall is give a nice oil-based primer, and then I put a really high quality latex paint on it, and this is from the Magnolia collection, and this is one of the cool colors from that Magnolia collection. There are many ways you can use metal leafing to enhance the architectural features of your house. This is an example of my front staircase where you come into the house, and you can see I took the gold leafing all the way up and around to give it a natural flow. Then around the woodwork here, I did the base on the features for the plinth block, and I did around the doors. And I did around the front door. As you can see, it really ties things together. And I like the metal leaf because it does tie into the chandelier, and it makes everything feel very cohesive. And then the mirror is also kind of a French motif, and I have a bronze French lamppost here. So metal leafing can really enhance everything. Up at the top there, I have what they call a coffin turner. Don't ask me why. Anyway, around that, you'll also see some gold leaf. Here's the behind the scenes of the angels I'm gold leafing for the ceiling in the dining room. Beautiful angels. These are soon to be going up on my ceiling. I have a big Michelangelo ceiling medallion that's 45 inches that'll be going up there that has gold leaf on it. And these angels or cherubs will represent north, south, east, and west around that. And then I'll have a big crystal chandelier hanging here. More to come. Thank you for watching today. Please subscribe to my Spotify channel and my YouTube channel. I want to hear from you, likes, suggestions on other things you'd like to see, and please share and like the videos and love the podcast. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to have a beautiful, happy holiday season.